We have 2 masses every single day. And you know what? Every mass is packed. Morning mass, evening mass, every single day. From Monday to Sunday, it's always packed. So why didn't you come to my parish? It's a really great parish. I mean, why did you come to Medjugorje? Obviously, because of Our Lady's apparitions, right? So that's why finally, the 4th topic that I promised to speak about, I will say a couple of words about first 3 days of Our Lady's apparitions. Although, I mean, I don't know if you read about Medjugorje the last 5-10 years. Maybe you heard of the term first 7 days. Have you heard of that? They say that Vatican Commission that was established by Benedict XVI suggested to approve the first 7 days. That's what the news we got here. And okay, let me inform you, of course, that when that news came out, Croatian journalists, with the permission of parish, he gathered all the, as far as I know, he gathered all the documents from the first 7 days, including interviews that Father Jozo did with visionaries. Plus, he did some additional interviews with visionaries' parents and some people who were involved, etc. Some of them passed away in the meantime. And he published a book called The First 7 Days. Don't record this, please, but I translated it, by the way, so if you want, you can have it later. Just if you want. But I mean, I would like to focus on the first 3 days, okay? Because these first 3 days really tell a lot. So, if I say 4th of July, does that remind you of anything? Of course it does. It's my mother's birthday. Okay. But in every event, in every phenomenon, we have a key date, right? So the key date when we speak about Medjugorje is June the 24th, 1981. Solemnity of St. John the Baptist. The day of the week was Wednesday. There was a lot of work in fields, but everybody here highly respected solemnity, so nobody went to fields to work. Instead of that, everybody went to the morning mass, then they would have family lunch, gathering, then the rest of the day was free. Mirjana and Ivanka, 2 teenage girls, 15, 14 years old, used to come every summer to spend the vacation, summer vacation, in the village of Bijakovići, remember? Bijakovići, with their cousins, with their uncles, with their grandparents, because Mirjana lived in Sarajevo, Ivanka lived in Mostar, 2 big cities of this country, and over the time the 2 girls became good friends, obviously, at least during the summertime, but the rest of the year they lived in 2 different cities without being able to contact each other at the time, when there was no internet, no social networks, no cell phones, nothing, you know. Anyway, so what happened is that very day, Mirjana practically just arrived from Sarajevo, maybe 2 days earlier, and 2 of them obviously didn't have a chance to meet each other so far. And this is what they told us afterwards. They said, as we were walking that morning from church back to the village through the fields, I guess we'll walk that path tomorrow, sometimes when we climb the apparition hill, they say the 2 of us made a deal. We didn't see each other for such a long time. We have so many things to share about, you know, to catch up with each other. So they said, late afternoon, when it is not as hot as it is during the day, let us walk outside of the village. And once we are alone, that is when we will speak about the most important things in our lives. They were 50. What? You said it, not me. Okay? I've been trying for 43 years to hear it from them, and I still did not succeed. So personally, I concluded that story, and I called it 11th Secret of Medjugorje. Period. No problem. Okay. So anyway, late afternoon, the 2 girls walked outside of the village, and they ended up around the spot where today we have parking for buses. I hope tomorrow morning, if we walk, we can stop by. I can show you where the parking is. And then after a short walk, they decided to sit down in a way that Ivanka was facing what we call the apparition hill today, Mirjana opposite direction. And in one moment, just like this, you know, Ivanka looked up and she said, Mirjana, look at Our Lady on the hill. Mirjana replied to her in a little rude way. So she said, yeah, Our Lady has nothing else to do and she would come to the two of us. And Mirjana simply stood up and walked away. And according to her testimony, she says, but as I was reaching the first house in the village, deep within myself, I felt that I should turn and go back to my friend. Also, if you would know this, Ivanka that day was wearing black, which was a sign of mourning because Ivanka's mom passed away in April of that same year. Less than 2 months before that, So Mirjana came back, she found Ivanka on the same spot, and Ivanka said, look now, please. So we have the two girls standing together, they were looking up the hill, and among sharp rocks and thorn bushes, they say, we saw a marvelously beautiful young woman who was floating on a cloud like 1.5 feet above the ground, had a long gray dress on her, who was holding an infant in her arm like this, calling them to come. They say, we believed that it was Our Lady, but two things totally confused us. Thing number one is that we lived under socialism when there was no freedom of talk. In those days, if you would in public say, God is good, God is great, God bless you, that would be a verdict to be imprisoned. If your child in school would speak about God, they would call you to police station next day. That is the reason why we, as kids in those days, never heard about Lourdes, about Fatima, about apparitions. For us, Our Lady was in heaven, we prayed to her, and that was the end of the story. I grew up in socialism here in Yugoslavia, and I'll never forget when my grandfather used to tell me when I would come from school and I would tell him something we learned in history classes, he would whisper to me and say, lie, lie. I said, but be careful, even the walls have ears. Keep quiet about it, but just to know it's a lie. Because indoctrination used to start at kindergarten level age. What's happening now in the world, I don't know, but anyway, okay, good. So, we never heard about these things, so you can only imagine what kind of a shock it was for the two girls to see her there. Logically, what is she doing here? Isn't she in paradise, logically speaking? Then the second thing is, you will see when we climb the hill, there's a wide rocky path. But repeating visionary Mirjana's words, that rocky path did not exist at all. That rocky path was made by hundreds of millions of people climbing the hill in these 43 years. Which means that nobody climbed the hill. And that's why they were totally confused to see someone, in this case a woman, in such a long dress with infant baby, among sharp rocks, thorn bushes, what are you doing there? It's dangerous. So the two of them explained it like this: we lost the sense of time. All emotions were mixed within us, and we were not aware of anymore if we were alive or dead. But the light, the warmth that was shining from the Lady, as they called her those days, is something that until this day, they did not succeed to describe, to put in words. Because they say, every word is too poor to describe the beauty that Our Lady has. So, as they were standing and looking, gazing, staring, I don't know which is better verb to use, they noticed a girl who was approaching them from the village. And the girl's name was Vicka. And they all say when Vicka came and saw what they were looking at, Vicka got so frightened that she immediately turned and ran away back home. The two girls were still standing and looking when they finally noticed a boy walking nearby. So the distance was like from here to the end of this yellow building, okay? And the boy's name was Ivan. And this is what Ivan afterwards told us in his testimony. He said, as it was Solemnity Day, we had free day, we didn't have to go to fields to work. So guess what did the boys do after lunch? They played? They played football. The real football. The sport that you use your foot and ball. It's very simple. Right? I heard you have some sport in America called the same. But do you know what the original name of your sport was? Footlong ball. Honestly, footlong ball. But then, I apologize, but you know, I have to laugh. Because when I watch those so-called World Series, Canada and the United States are playing only. World Series? Like, okay, oh, this is European competition. Sorry, I'm just joking. Anyway, even says we played football and around 5 p.m. we all ran back to the village because Yugoslavian TV broadcasted the finals of ex-Yugoslavian basketball championship. Croatian versus Bosnian team played. All the boys ended up in 2 houses in the village because only 2 houses at the time had color TV. Color TV. Okay, so because everybody had black and white, but color TV was something new, so they all watched the first half of the match on color TV. And when there were 15 minutes of intermission, even said, we all ran to our homes to grab a little something to eat. We were hungry. So even took a slice of bread at home, and then leaving the house, next to the house there was an apple tree. And even said, I grabbed a few apples. You can't see me, but he was holding that on his shirt like this, okay? And when the girls saw him, they said, Ivan, look at our lady on the hill. And I always use visionary Mirjana's words about this moment. She said, holding apples in his arms, Ivan looked up on the hill, and when he saw Our Lady, as every brave man does, he dropped the apples and ran away. But after this, even to 2 girls, you know, they just looked at each other and without saying a word, simply ran away. So all 4 of them ran away. If you ask them what happened on the first day, they would say, that was not a glorious day for us. We simply ran away, you know. So you can only imagine when they came to their homes, what kind of a shock they caused in their families. Let's put it this way. You come from the United States, you know, Beacon of Freedom, this and that, and you heard of Guadalupe, Lourdes, Fatima, all of this, you know. But try to imagine someone from your own family who is 15 to come home this afternoon and tells you, I saw Blessed Virgin Mary about the house. What would be your reaction? Okay, now we understand better, right? So the families, when they were told by these 4 kids what they saw, they said, what are you talking about? It's impossible. How do you dare to make jokes about God? At the end, all of them were told in their families, mainly by grandmothers, you know what? You better take rosary, go to your room and pray to dear God. Let Our Lady be where she is in paradise. And that's exactly what they did. That was a sleepless night, but was very painful. Because can you imagine? Your own parents, your own siblings do not believe you. The next day was June the 25th, Thursday, the day of the week. People here went to fields early in the morning because we grew tobacco here. And in order to cut the tobacco leaves, you had to do it before sunrise. Believe it or not, families with kids, 3 a.m., wake up, go to the fields, take tobacco leaves, come back home before sunrise, take a nap, have breakfast, and then the whole morning, the family, kids were stringing tobacco. On the left-hand side, you will see, after the luminous mysteries, there's a little ground floor building, small one, and there are 4 walls of that building are covered by black and white enlarged photos showing Medjugorje between 1916 and 1984. And you will see those kids with their parents stringing tobacco, you know, like sticky fingers from that tobacco, etc. So that was the way of life. But whole day, nobody dared to say a word about what happened the night before, because nobody believed them. Especially elders thought, like, we don't want to cause additional pain to the kids, we better don't speak about that. But late afternoon, around the time when they claimed that they had seen Our Lady the day before, all 4 of them felt a call to go back. So they went back. But it's interesting also to notice that Vitska, one of the 4, as soon as she left her family home, she stopped at her neighbor and friend Maria's home because she wanted to offer her friend Maria to join them. But Maria, who was the same age, 15 like them, she was in the middle of cooking dinner on the wood oven for her entire family because the family was in fields working. Maria was alone at home cooking the dinner. So she said to Vitska, "As you can see, I cannot go, but Vitska, please, if she does appear, come back and call me." So Vitska said, okay. So Vitska left. She met with the other 3 from the day before, and all 4 of them claimed the same time, up on the hill, Our Lady appeared again. 3 of them ran up immediately, but Vitska ran back to invite Maria. If I would show you now the spot where they were at Maria's home, it's a little over 100 meters. As far as I know, in athletics, the world record for women is a little less than 11 seconds, right? Or at least it was so far. Now some men started competing with women, I heard, but we'll see how it's going to end. But anyway, it's a little less than 11 seconds as far as I know. So I would bet that Vitska did it in 13, 14 seconds. Because just try to think about it. Vitska wants to fulfill the promise that she made to her friend, but she's risking when she comes back that Our Lady would be gone.